Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Again, I apologize for the few minutes late here. My name is Kevin Blasi, and I'm the project manager with the Department of Transportation's Bridge Design Unit. Tonight, we will present the project for the replacement of Bridge 1647, which carries Route 664, Snake Meadow Road, over Snake Meadow Brook in the town of Plainfield. Before we begin our presentation, I have a few quick items to go over. Title 6, your civil rights. No person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. The Title 6 information is available at the following link, portal.ct.gov/DOT/opportunity and business development /title VI. And it would be greatly appreciated if you would complete the voluntary post-meeting survey after our meeting has concluded. The results from this survey will be used to help us improve our future presentations. To access the survey, you can use the QR code on the screen you see, or you can use this link, portal.ct.gov/CTDOT survey. Links to the Title VI information and the survey have also been provided in the Zoom chat. This is the Title VI notice to the public. Individuals and organizations may file a complaint by completing the Title VI complaint form at portal.ct.gov/DOT/equity/title-VI. Complaints should be signed and include the contact information and should be sent to Office of Civil Rights, Federal Railroad Administration, 1200 New Jersey Avenue, SE ROA-10, Mail Stop 5, Washington, D.C. 20590. To view captions on Zoom, first click the Show Captions CC button at the bottom of the screen. Then select Speaking Language, and next, select the language that you want from the list. Closed captioning, including non-English translation options, will be available on YouTube after the meeting. And at the conclusion of our presentation, we'll open up the meeting to a question and answer session. And this is your opportunity to ask questions of the project team or to provide comments on the proposed design. The comment period is open now through April 9th. During that time, you can ask a question or leave a comment by email at this email address, dot108-191@ct.gov. You can also reach us by phone and leave a voicemail. And if leaving a voicemail, please be sure to include the project number in your message, which is 0108-0191. And the phone number to leave a voicemail, 860-594-2020. If you are joining us on Zoom, you can use the Q&A function on your screen at any time tonight. And I'll walk you through how to use that feature on the next slide. You can feel free to type questions into the Q&A Zoom chat during our presentation, and we'll address those questions at the end of the presentation. Project information and materials are available on the project webpage. A link to the recording of tonight's presentation will also be included on the webpage. The webpage is portal.ct.gov/DOT Plainfield 0108-0191. And once again, the public comment period for this project is open now through April 9th, 2026. So you will have time to review the project materials and submit comments through the email address or voicemail, even after tonight's meeting, up through April 9th. And we'll be sure to get back to you. How to use the Q&A chat in Zoom. First, you want to select the Q&A tool at the bottom of the Zoom webinar window. The Q&A window will open as shown on the right. Type your question in the text bar and click enter. If you are an audio-only participant, dial *9 to raise and lower your hand. The introduction of the project team from the Connecticut Department of Transportation is as follows. Derek Lassard is the Division Chief of Bridges. Andy Cardinale is the Principal Engineer of State Bridge Design. Once again, I'm Kevin Blasi, Project Manager for this project in State Bridge Design. Mikhail Thomas is the Project Engineer from State Bridge Design. Rahul Yelena is the Design Engineer from State Bridge Design. And Zach Garino is the Property Agent from the Office of Rights of Way. And with those introductions, I'll now hand the project, or rather the presentation, off to Project Engineer Mikhail Thomas. Mikhail?
Thank you, Kevin. Here is a better look at the project location. The aerial view shows that Bridge 1647 is located on State Route 664, also known as Snake Meadow Road, about 3 miles north of the Route 14 junction. The bridge carries the roadway over the Snake Meadow Brook that flows from Aqua Pond directly upstream. This is a picture of the northbound approach to the bridge. And here we have a picture of the southbound approach. So the purpose of this project is to restore the bridge to a state of good repair. The existing superstructure of the bridge is in poor condition with ongoing deterioration that cannot be addressed through normal rehab methods. The bridge is also currently posted for a weight restriction of 18 tons for a single unit vehicle and 29 tons for a swing unit vehicle. Therefore, a full replacement is warranted. The bridge is being monitored annually to better track the bridge condition. Just some background information on the existing bridge. The existing structure was originally built in 1925 and reconstructed in 1972. It consists of a single span steel girder with a concrete-filled corrugated deck superstructure that is supported on masonry abutments. The current span length is about 23 feet and the curb-to-curb width is about 19 feet, 5 inches, which is narrow by today's standards. The bridge carries 1 lane of traffic in each direction with no shoulders. The average annual daily traffic reported in 2022 is about 650 vehicles, 5% of which are trucks. And here we have some pictures showing you examples of the noted deficiencies of the superstructure from the bridge's last inspection report. Moving on to the condition of the substructure. Here we have the south masonry abutment showing random cracks, missing grout, and stone voids at the base. And here is another picture, this time showing the north abutment, and this indicates its condition with random cracks, stone voids at the base, and active leakage on the bridge seat. Here we have some pictures of the wing wall at the south abutment. And these are for the wing walls at the north abutment. Although the substructure, which includes the abutments and the wing walls, are considered still satisfactory according to the latest inspection report, they are more than 100 years old and continue to deteriorate despite past maintenance efforts. Therefore, the entire substructure will also be replaced as part of this project. This is the upstream elevation view of the bridge. And next, this is the downstream elevation view of the bridge. Moving on to traffic considerations for the proposed project, the current slide shows the proposed detour for the construction work. The proposed detour will reroute traffic around the bridge location using Route 14, Route 12, Route 6, which are all state routes. The detour route is approximately 16.2 miles and will take approximately 26 minutes to complete. The reason for the detour length is because for state projects, we try as much as possible to utilize all state routes to avoid rerouting commercial truck traffic to local roads. However, the planned road closure at the bridge location um, and other local town roads will remain open for use by local residents. Based on the current project schedule, the anticipated detour schedule will be in place between mid-June to late August in 2028. Coordination with the town of Plainfield and EMS services is ongoing to ensure a successful detour and to ensure all emergency services remain functioning reasonably for the detour duration. For environmental considerations for this project, the department's Office of Policy and Planning investigated the potential environmental concerns associated with the project location. And based on their investigation, there are no conflicts with or impacts to socioeconomic resources, public parks, recreational areas, and any scenic roads. From an archaeological perspective, the project area of potential effect has moderate to high archaeological sensitivity, so tribal consultations and field surveys were conducted to determine the possibility of finding any historical buildings or artifacts. Based on the findings from the surveys and consultations, no cultural material in any natural soil levels were encountered. There are also no concerns with impacts to historic properties. However, there is a potential presence of federal species such as the tricolored bat and the monarch butterfly within the surrounding project vicinity. These species will not be impacted during construction work. Moving on to utility considerations for this project, the only observed utilities are overhead lines that run along the north side of Snake Meadow Road and crossing over the bridge inlet. These overhead utilities do not convey power, but only have communication lines. This slide indicates a potential temporary utility relocation plan to maintain service during construction based on discussions with the utility companies and internal staff. The blue lines represent the existing overhead utilities layout, and the red line indicates the temporary utilities relocation layout. 2 temporary poles will be installed on the south side to facilitate the temporary layout. Potential impacts to adjacent properties were also considered. In the slide, the state right-of-way limits are shown in the red solid lines on either side of Snake Meadow Road. They are approximately 12 feet off the existing edge of road. Potential temporary construction easements are shaded in blue, which may be necessary for utility relocation work and construction activities. Potential slope easements on adjacent properties are highlighted in green, which may be also necessary for permanent grading of the earth embankments near the bridge structure. Overall, right-of-way impacts are deemed to be relatively minor from our preliminary analysis. I will now hand it over to Zach, who is the property agent from our right-of-way unit, who will be responsible for coordinating any right-of-way impacts to adjacent properties with property owners. He will explain the right-of-way acquisition law and process.
Thank you. Again, my name is Zach Carino. I'm a project coordinator of the department's division of rights-of-way, and our office is responsible for acquiring the property rights that are needed for the project. And as mentioned, I'll be going over the acquisition process and what you can expect from the department. I'd just like to mention that the specific impacts are still being finalized and they may change as the design progresses. And any required property rights will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statute Sections 13A 73 and 13A 98E, as well as the Uniform Act. So the right-of-way acquisition process begins once the design has progressed to a development milestone and all the impacts have been determined. At this point, each affected property owner will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire from our office, along with a property map which depicts the exact property rights to be acquired. And on the screen here is an example of a property map that an owner may receive. It's going to be showing the existing additions as well as the proposed improvements. Then our office will determine the fair market value of the property rights which are depicted on that map and use it to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner, explain the project, and go over the specific impacts to the property and explain how the state arrived at its offer. The property owner will be given a reasonable amount of time to consider the state's offer and enter into negotiations. When an agreement is reached, the department will prepare all the necessary paperwork to record the deed and property map on the town land records. However, if agreement cannot be reached, in order to keep on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights through its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state files a notice of condemnation in the Superior Court, along with a monetary deposit in the amount of the state's original offer. The owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt that the offer was inadequate. And whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money deposited in the court is still available to be withdrawn by the owner. If there's any specific questions regarding the right-of-way acquisition process, I can answer them after the presentation. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Rahul to continue. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. We'll now move on to showing you a better look at the proposed bridge replacement structure. To summarize the reason for the project, the existing bridge is in poor condition with a poorly rated superstructure and with ongoing deterioration despite past maintenance efforts. We also need to provide a roadway width that is up to current highway design standards in case of any future road widening efforts. And increased hydraulic capacity for water flows is also necessary. So the scope of the project will be to relocate overhead lines temporarily away from construction activities and then replace the bridge under a short, full road closure and detour. The new structure type will be a single-span bridge using precast concrete beams and cast-in-place concrete deck as the superstructure, and the abutments and wing walls will also be precast concrete, and they are the substructure. The superstructure and substructure will be directly connected to one another to avoid costly bridge joints. This type of bridge is called a fully integral abutment bridge. This here is an aerial view and is an indication of the potential layout for the proposed 45-foot span fully integral abutment bridge from a bird's eye view. The proposed span will be much wider than the current 23-foot span existing bridge. This here is an isometric view of the proposed structure and shows the bridge in greater detail. From this view, you can see the precast abutments and wing walls, which will be supported by H-piles driven into bedrock as the bridge foundation. You can also see the precast beams and cast-in-place concrete deck as discussed earlier, and cast-in-place concrete parapets, which are in yellow, or barriers. They serve as fall protection for the traveling public and can also be seen better from this view. The bridge will also include cast-in-place concrete approach slabs leading up to the bridge. Here's a side view of the proposed structure at the stream inlet. We can see much of the same bridge components as highlighted in the previous slide. However, from this view, you can see the underside of the bridge, which includes room for inspection access, and wildlife crossings, while maintaining and widening the area for stream flow. Here's a cross-section view of the proposed bridge superstructure and roadway at the bridge location. Notably, at the bridge, the road will be widened to include two 11-foot lanes and two 5-foot paved shoulders. You also get a better indication of what the precast beams and cast-in-place deck will look like from this picture, from this cross-section. And the concrete parapets or barriers are at the ends of the cross-section on either side. We'll now give you a brief demonstration of the construction sequence for this bridge. First, the existing superstructure will be demolished. Then cofferdams will be installed around the existing and proposed substructure locations. The existing substructure will then be removed. Piles will then be installed. And once the piles are installed, The precast substructure will be placed over the pile tops, and the connections and voids will be filled with concrete to complete the substructure. And then the cofferdams will be removed. Upon removal of the cofferdams, the precast concrete beams will be set on top of the abutment seats, and once they're in position, the cast-in-place concrete deck and approach slabs will be constructed. The concrete parapets will be built last at the edges of the deck, and then finally the roadway will be paved and traffic will be reopened. Finally, here's the anticipated project schedule. Construction is scheduled to begin in the spring of 2028, pending availability of funds. Work is expected to be completed in a single construction season, with the road closure limited to roughly 10 weeks in summer of 2028 outside the school season. The estimated cost for the project is approximately $6 million, and that includes construction, design, rights of way, acquisitions, incidentals for construction staff, and any potential contingencies. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Kevin, who will facilitate the Q&A portion of the presentation.
Thank you, Rahul. And that concludes this evening's presentation of the project. So at this time, we will begin the question and answer session. So as a reminder, if you are watching this presentation live on Zoom, you can type your question into the Q&A chat window, and we can respond during this meeting. Once again, the comment period runs now through April 9th, 2026. And during that period, you can send a question or comment to us also by email or by leaving a voicemail. The email address is dotproject108-191@ct.gov. And if you prefer to leave a voicemail, please again be sure to include the project number 108-191 in your message, since the phone is a shared line. The phone number is 860-594-2020. A link to the recording of this presentation, as well as other project information, can be found on the project webpage, which is portal.ct.gov/DOT Plainfield 0108-0191. And once more, if you don't mind taking the time to complete our volunteer survey, it can be found at portal.ct.gov/CTDOT survey. And with that, we'll now monitor the Q&A chat for any questions you may have at this time. Thank you so much.
We do have a question, Kevin, regarding an estimate on the detour length via local roads for residents.
So yes, we do know the local detour length. Allison, I believe,
It's,
the one who mentioned.
yeah, here we go.
So it's about 10 minutes in duration and then about 5 minutes long. And I'll pass it on to Kevin to just finish talking about it.
Oh, well, it's 10 minutes and it looks to be 5 miles, right? So as we have here shown, it's you'd be taking 664 and then take Harris Road, take the left onto Valley View Road, and then basically a left back onto what's 664, right? Snake Meadow Road, to essentially circle back to that location of the bridge site. So again, about 10 minutes in length and about 5 miles.
Did that answer? Okay.
And I thought I saw something else pop up, but I don't see it here. Did we get another question?
No,
Okay.
that's the only question I see.
Okay. Thank you for that question. And again, I'll take another moment to just reiterate again, April 9th, comments and questions can be sent to us April 9th via email or by leaving a voicemail. And again, the email dotproject108-191 ct.gov. The voicemail 860-594-2020. And again, if you'd leave the project number when leaving a message, which is again is 108-191 in your message, because this is a shared phone line if leaving a voicemail. Okay, again, another question's come in. If I missed this in the presentation, once construction is complete, what weight will the bridge be able to hold? Kyle, do you want to maybe take that?
We don't have a specific number, but it should be up to standard with all other bridges around the state of Connecticut and nationally. So there should be no cause for concern. All traffic will remain operational as normal everywhere else.
Yeah, the bridge is designed according to modern load requirements. So there will be no more load restrictions on the bridge once the new bridge is put in place. And again, thank you for that question. That's a great question, given that the bridge is currently load restricted. So we'll wait another few minutes. If there's any more questions, we'll take another couple of minutes just to make sure we've answered everything we can tonight. And again, there's another couple of weeks of time in the comment period to April 9th to send anything else into the project team here, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can with an answer. Okay, well again, the recording of this presentation will be made available on the project webpage, which is up on your screen right now, portal.ct.gov/DOT Plainfield 0108-0191. And again, you can reach out by the voicemail or email provided to send in some questions now through April 9th. I think we'll call it an evening for now. I really appreciate those couple of questions that came in. Thank you so much. And we look forward to this project here in Plainfield. Thank you, folks, and good night.